Fantastic. Sawa. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to quickly transition to our first speaker. And our first speaker is very ready, okay? Our first speaker is a co-founder of Inuka Leadership. And let's appreciate that Inuka Leadership Forum. And part of what he did, he realized there was a challenge in university that people are not getting access to internship opportunities, to employment opportunities. And he said, we need to find a solution for it. And he decided to get youthful people to train them, and even to get industry leaders to just train these specific people, and for them to be ready to plug into the market. And they have been successful over the years just to train people so that they have easy entry into the marketplace. And not only that, Sema Isitoshe, he is also the senior pastor of Ruach South. So where we are at, and the lead pastor has been able to lead us amazingly. 2 years and we've experienced such growth. So whenever we enter those doors, we say growth happens here. And I mentioned he's also been fitted with international recognitions around his leadership. Some are Commonwealth. And he'll share some few insights as to leadership, and he'll just help us navigate how we can serve from a place where we are inspired by love. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is my delight and pleasure to welcome Pastor Pete Kariuki. Let's give him a rapturous round of applause as he joins me here to share some amazing insights. Karibu sana.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Good morning. Good morning. Well, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to Ruach South. This is home for us, and one of the things we intentionally do in this place is provide spaces, platforms for connection, for empowerment, for leaders to connect, for different people to just come and network. And so we are not shy to partner. We are not shy to extend a hand to different people, and we are honored that Chichi and Demi chose us as their host for the Global Young Leaders Congress. So we are so honored for that. All right. I want to quickly just talk about a conversation. This is just to sow a seed or to plant a possibility in our hearts today concerning leadership, because this is something that is close and dear to my heart. We're looking at the rise of love-inspired leaders, but allow me to just segue a bit, not segue, but talk about contextual leadership. And before I do that, please help me appreciate Reverend Julian Kula, who's here. Much of the things I'll be sharing today, I've learned from him. So if you hear him share them again, just know that some of these are his notes. All right. Allow me to appreciate also Dr. Obwaka and Reverend Emily, who are here. They were here yesterday. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of this wonderful conversation. My colleague, Pastor Stan, who's here. Thank you, Pastor Stan. Karibu. Excellent. A lot of work was done yesterday to help us understand leadership. And today I want to talk about contextual leadership. Please go to my presentation. I have 3 responsibilities, or my aim for today morning is to talk about 3 things. 1, to help us understand the context of where we are. Number 2, to understand the role of the leader. And number 3, to understand the work that we are cut out to do. So I hope as we journey together, these 3 things will be tied together. Number 1, to understand what day and age are we living in right now. Now, when we talk about contextual leadership, we're talking about aligning our capabilities with the demands of the era we're in right now. All right? I've come to realize in leadership, there are people who outlast different seasons. There are people who are able to go through different seasons of whether it's business, ministry, church, not-for-profit, And the reason why they are able to navigate different seasons is because they are able to capture, or they have the intelligence to understand what is happening at different times. Are we together? And so you don't apply one framework or one filter for everything. Are we together? You don't apply one style to every situation. I've seen extremely gifted leaders, extremely gifted, and Pastor Poju talked about this yesterday, extremely gifted but fail to understand the context. And their gift is not fully utilized. Are we together? Seated in this room are leaders who are gifted. Seated in this room are experienced people in different industries. And I hope I'll be able to add something to this conversation. So, let me talk about Africa, because we're in Africa. Our continent has had about 3 generations of leadership, or 3 generations of leaders. All right? If you look at the 1940s to the 1960s, this is the time when African countries started were fighting for independence. All right? There was a specific expression of leadership during that era. So between the 1940s all the way to the 1960s, the expression of leadership in Africa had a lot to do with freedom fighters. Are we together? So we must understand where we're coming from as a continent. We must understand the journey, pay fidelity to it, because we are showing up to something that already began many years back. Are we together? Is that Jermaine? Oh, good to see you, Jermaine. Welcome, welcome. All right? So we must understand these things. Are we together? So, the first era of leadership took the expression of freedom fighters. Tell your neighbor, freedom fighter. Then we transitioned to the 1960s, between 1960 to 1990. Then we had what you call the pioneers, the fathers of our nations. This is where you hear about Mzee Uhuru Kenyatta, Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, all these leaders now taking their stand to lead the countries. Are we together? Then the next era of leaders had a lot to do with what you call the stabilizer generation, the ones who stabilized what the fathers began. So, where are we today? Today we are in the era of builders. Tell your neighbor, I'm a pastor, so I'll tell you to talk to your neighbor quite a lot. All right? So find a neighbor you like. All right? Make sure you like them. Are we together? So we're in the era of building, and I'll come to that. Okay? So let's unpack this. Freedom fighters, what was the leadership expression back in the 60s, 40, 50, 60s? 1, struggle for independence. 2, there was a lot of a reclaiming of sovereignty for our nations, reclaim of self-rule. A lot of people lost their lives. We stand here today because some people fought certain fights. Are we together? And I hope that as generations come, we don't lose sight of the ones who went ahead of us and did things that we didn't do. We can walk freely in Nairobi because someone had to hide in a cave somewhere in the 1960s, in the 1950s. Are we together? And this is a history we cannot afford to lose. Ladies and gentlemen, as we study about international history, can we also study about our local history? All right? Can we study about our African history? I appreciate that we want to do the British system. I appreciate we want to do the American system. But can we also appreciate where we are coming from? Is that okay? So, a lot of these people ran and hid from colonialists. They were subjected to torture. They were subjected to imprisonment. Some of them were incarcerated in detention camps. Are we together? So any young man or woman or pastor or business leader who emerged in this era was subject to these forces. Are we together? So your business, your leadership, your calling had to be aligned to the era they were in back then. Are we together? So this was not a time to come and say, my voice must be heard. Here, your voice is not being heard. All right? In this era, there was nothing about my voice, hashtag Me too. Are we together? I hope I'm making sense. Because the context of that era had a lot to do with self-rule. And so businesses, pastors, leaders, all these things took that expression. Then the next era of leaders now, once we gained self-rule across, and this happened from Ghana to South Africa to Kenya to Rwanda to all these different countries, Ivory Coast, self-rule. Then the first presidents checked in. The first leaders came in, and there was a sense of stability. There was a semblance of self-rule. We have our own leaders. Now we can write our own constitution. Are we together? Now we can see our flag going up. I don't know if you've seen that video of Kenya where they are seeing the Kenyan flag going up at Uhuru Park and everyone is clapping. All right? How many of you are there? All right? People are clapping and celebrating because of what? Self-rule. Self-rule. Kenya, for example, was moving away from British rule. We were under British rule for 43 years. And then now suddenly, freedom is coming. That's the time when they were writing plays like Sarafina. Freedom is coming. Yes. So even songs represent the context of what is happening during that time. Are we together? All right? So the fathers, the pioneers, the founding fathers challenged racial, economic, and political oppression imposed by colonial powers. And then there was something called one-party rule. All right? Again, if you're a leader emerging in this season and in this era, there are things you had to do. There's a style you had to have. Are we together? The fathers came and sometimes, let me pause here and say something about pioneering, because a lot of times, and in the time when some of these countries were gaining self-independence, some of them realized that they gained independence, but they were not ready for freedom. Are we together? We're talking about the rise of love-inspired leaders. We're talking about a future of prosperity, a future where young people can function and blossom. And the question I want to ask today as we start is, as we gain the freedoms we are searching for right now, are we ready? Have we built the capacities to handle that level of liberation? Are we together? So let me give you an example of DRC. We have a few members of our church here who come from DRC. One of the things that happened in DRC is that when they gained independence and the first president took over, they realized in an entire nation, they had only about 20 university graduates. All right? An entire nation. Only 20 universities. No one had experience in civil management, public service. All right? This is DRC. So you've gained independence, but there's no capacity to hold the freedom. All right? So the fathers came, did what they do, the pioneers did what they did, but the people were not ready. Are we together? As we push for the freedom we want in our country today, I'm seeing young people rise up, I'm seeing Gen Zs rise up. I know we will get the reality we want, but are we ready for the responsibilities? Are we ready to hold? Are we ready to hold forth? Are we ready to do what we need to do? So DRC always stands out to me as an example. And as soon as they gained their freedom, they sank down back to civil war because there was no fabric capacity, there was no leader. No one had been trained on anything to do with self-rule. Are we together? So we must always be prepared of what be prepared of what the season demands as we fight for it. Is that okay? Is that okay? Next slide. The next season of leaders, 1990s to the 2010, had a lot to do with stabilizers. So governments were being stabilized, were preserving national unity, national building, and then they introduced multi-party rule. This is where people could speak up, express themselves, speak against government, opposition came up. This was the time. If you tried to do this in the previous era, all right, in Kenya we had something called the Nyayo Chambers. Okay. All right? If you tried to do this in the previous era, then something would have been completely, you'd have taken some things out of context. So these guys came to stabilize sovereignty. They stabilized nations, stabilized economies, stabilized identities, stabilized all these things. This is the time, if you were born during this time, you remember how loyal we were to what was it called? The loyalty pledge. Gen Zs, are you here? Do you know the loyalty pledge? I pledge my loyalty and allegiance to the president and the Republic of Kenya. All right? Is it my evidence and duties to defend something, all right? All right. And we were singing it in schools. Every day we had to sing that thing. All right? It was called the loyalty pledge. All right? Because a generation of stabilizers wanted to stabilize self-rule, sovereignty. Are we together? And so multi-party. So a lot of, now in this season, you could talk, you could express your grievances, you could talk against government, you could raise something, your business could you could try and do certain things, pastors could speak up, the church could speak up. This time facilitated a lot of expression and freedom and liberties. Are we together? Are you here? All right. So where are we now? I'm still talking about context. Where are we now? Right now, I want to humbly submit to you that the era we are in is called the era of builders. Right? The leadership style needed in our context now is one that has to take the form of building. All right? And I hope I can convince you this morning why this is necessary. One of the things that must shift in this era is a shift from individualistic leadership to what I call collectivist leadership. Who's a collectivist or a collectivist leader? Is one who is able to pick the interests of the people, the needs of the people, and come in and solve those interests and problems. So, if right now anyone is trying to rise up as an individual, all right? So this speaks into the model, the kind of business you can build. This speaks into the kind of ministry you can build. This speaks into the kind of not-for-profit you can build. That the era we are in right now, one, if your solution does not address the masses, then you're already in a different era. If your solution is not accessible to the masses, then you're in a different era. You're having jet lag and you need to recalibrate yourself to the now. Are we together? So the other thing that must happen during this time is that we are leaders who, the kind of leaders needed are the ones who build social and economic sectors. All right? Leaders who understand the complexities that come with leadership. So it's not linear. It's not one size fits all. We must study the complexities of leadership. And then finally, these builders have access to the right places. Tell your neighbor the right places, the right people, and the right. This generation that we live in right now is called the access generation. The rate at which, or the speed at which we have access has been like no other generations before. All right? It's interesting that right now you can contact Donald Trump from your bedsitter. True or false? True or false? You can get to the highest arms of government, push the highest form of narrative from your house. It's called the access generation. So there's a reason why we have this access, because it's time to build. It's time to build people. It's time to build enterprises. It's time to build strong institutions. It's time to build strong systems. Are we together? This is the era we are in right now. I'm talking about hospitality, or your enterprise. Are we together? Are we together? So let's go to the leader now. So what kind of leaders does our country desperately need? So let's go quickly. I need to finish because we have a few things we need to clear out. So the leader. So let's come to you. The kind of leaders our country desperately needs today. Number one, builders of prosperity. Right? Builders of prosperity. Number two, builders of strong institutions. Number three, I mentioned this in the previous slide, collectivist leaders. All right? They realized in Silicon Valley that, and this is research that has been done, that the founders of the unicorns were very hard. All right? They were task heavy. So whether it's Jeff Bezos or Microsoft guy, Bill Gates, and all these guys who built unicorns, the founders are usually very heavy on the goal, on the task. All right? And then they realized that the next generation that took over at Silicon Valley, the next group of CEOs that took over at Silicon Valley were not hard-charging people. All right? So if you look at someone like Satya Nadella and you look at all these guys who are coming in at Microsoft right now, they did a study and asked themselves, why is it that the current crop of CEOs at Silicon Valley are very soft? And the study revealed that they were coming, their goal and their manifesto, they said, we are coming to, so for example, like Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft said, I'm coming to restore the soul of Microsoft. All right? I'm coming to restore the soul of Microsoft. They even said that if you joined some of their boardroom discussions, you might not even know who the CEO is. Because the guy is quiet. The guy is waiting for everyone to talk, collectivist. The guy is waiting for ideas from people. So the days of banging the table and saying, do you know who I am? You belong to the 80s. Are we together? You bang the table, don't you know who I am in this space? If you're still talking like that, please, you have jet lag. Come back to now. All right? You're sleeping while others are awake. Are we together? So it's not the time to bang tables and say, do you know who I am? Do you know what I'm made? No. They said you walk into some of this boardroom and these guys are making crazy profits. Some of their leaders are soft-spoken. Some of their leaders are talking about their families. Their leaders are talking about their children who have special needs. And the leaders are fronting humanity. They are not fronting superimposing a strength that doesn't look human. We together. I loved what someone said. Yeah, I'd rather follow a leader who's I need to remember the quote very well. You'd rather follow a leader who's authentic than one who's always right. Are we together? So I'm here to present to you a style that will make you thrive in this era. All right? Now, I know there are nuances in different industries where you have to stand up and do certain things. But in this era, there's something that the era is trying to recalibrate. Are we together? And then we are calling for leaders with integrity and skill. All right? Because we are believers here. This is Psalm 78, 72. The Bible says, and David shepherded God's people with integrity of heart, and with a skillful hand he led them. That the summary of David's exploits was summarized to two things. Integrity of heart, number one, and number two, skill of hand. So he was able to combine these two realities as a leader. That he had, number one, he had integrity of heart to shepherd. And then it's not either or. He didn't say he had integrity of heart only. All right? Or he didn't say he had skill only. All right? He had both and, not either or. Tuko pamoja? Are we together? So these are the kind of leaders our country desperately needs. I think it's TJ who was sharing a statistic that was shared by World Bank or IMF back in 2012. And this is what they said, that a country that has a fairly well-educated group of young people, if we don't build prosperity, has the risk of sliding into civil war. That was back in 2012. We're in 2025. The cry from our people is what? What's been the cry? What's been the cry? For more superstars. That's not the cry. It's a cry for more superstars. It's a cry for certain things. No, the cry is, I've just done my master's. I can't find a job. Are we together? I've just done my bachelor's degree. I don't know where to go from here. And there's confusion with a generation because there's need for prosperity. Are we together? One of the ways we can build prosperity is job creation. Creating jobs. They said that one of the things that gives people dignity are jobs. Not handouts. It's jobs. That someone can go contribute something, take something home and take care of their family. All right? So the call right now is for builders to build prosperity. There's a cry from Gen Z, there's a cry from our young people right now. And if we don't answer that question and we can't bury our heads in the sand, listen, I can build for myself and live where I want to live and drive what I want to drive. But if the country burns down, no one cares about our houses. No one cares about our car. Are we together? No one cares about where you live, what you drive, and all those things. If the young people have no expression, have no place to call home, a place to work, dignity in the health sector. So we must build strong institutions. The time has come to take back health to the hospitals. The time has come to take back education to schools. So we have schools with no education. We have hospitals with no health care. So the time has come for builders who are in this room to do what? Take health back to hospitals. Take education back to schools. Are we together? This is the era and the time we're living in right now. All right? And as I come to a conclusion, I want to talk about the work that's needed. Because now I've talked to you about the leaders. So the context, number one. Number two, the kind of leaders our country desperately needs. All right? So let's talk about the work. So what do we need to do? Good question. I'm here. I've built companies. I've built businesses. I'm in the university. I'm about to join. So how do I move from where I am to this reality of building? By the way, let me go back a bit. I talked about builders, and I said builders have access. I said that. So if you study the book of Nehemiah, you'll realize that Nehemiah got a report that the walls of Jerusalem lie in ruins. Are we together? And what did Nehemiah do? Nehemiah prayed, fasted, and repented. All right? Now, there are many things happening in our country right now. But I can tell you, majority of the people, Chichi, stop at praying, fasting, and crying. All right? We pray, we fast, we cry. Okay? We do that in our churches. We are like, oh God, look at the nation. Look at what's happening. Are we together? Look at what's going on. Look at the Gen Zs. Look at the economy. Look at all these things. So we all pray, cry. But do you know what builders do? After you finished praying, fasting, and crying, you suit up. Are we together? Nehemiah went back to work. After I have cried, prayed, and repented, the Bible says he went to the king. Access. Are we together? This is the time where those of us who have access, we are counting on you. All right? The reason why you came for the rise of love-inspired leaders and you get to hear from Pastor Poggio and Reverend Julian, this is called access. All right? So we're counting on you. So he went before the king, and the king asked him, why do you look so downcast? And he said, you know what? Well, my ancestors' place, the walls, everything has been destroyed. Access. So they have access to the right places. They have access to the right people. He had access to the king. And then they have access to the right resources. Building requires access to the right place, to the right people, and to the right resources. All right? Are you still here? Is this too early to share these things? All right? So, builders have access to these three things, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why you have the people, the kind of caliber of people you have on your phone book right now is not to boast on social media. All right? The reason why you have the kind of spaces you have right now is not, it should not end with a selfie. Are we together? It should not end that the highest output of your access is that I was trending on Instagram. Are we together? Please trend, but let your trending build something for our young people. Please trend, but let your trending restore dignity to mothers who are waiting and expectant for children. Please trend, but let your trending bring back education to schools. Are we together? It can't be that the only thing we are building and handing over to the next generation are likes, hashtags, lights, and good sound. Are we together? It has to go beyond that. Are we together? So builders have access to the right people. They have access to the right spaces. And then they have access to the resources. The king asked Nehemiah, what else do you want? He said, write letters to the keeper of the king's timber. In other words, Nehemiah did not have capital, all right? Did not have capital to rebuild the walls, but he had access to people who had capital to rebuild, all right? This changes our mindset around capital ownership versus capital influence. We want to amass. We want to have it for ourselves. We want to keep it for ourselves first, then we start building. The equation here is Nehemiah didn't have access to capital. He knew how to influence capital. He knew how to influence the right people. He knew how to influence the right decisions. Are we together? So that's what builders are doing. And finally, what work do we need to do? So how do I move from here to becoming a builder? Here are a couple of thoughts. Then I'll hand it over to the next person. Now, initially, I'll submit it to you as you start. All right? I've been fascinated with Elon Musk and all these guys who are trying to send rockets to space travel, and this even Jeff Bezos is trying to do something. I've really been fascinated with these rockets and just what people are trying to do to explore space travel. And I want to draw a few lessons from that. Number one, it will take a disproportionate amount of effort initially. All right? That's what it'll take. They say when it comes to a rocket lifting off from the ground, the amount of fuel it burns, all right, just to achieve liftoff, the amount of fuel this thing requires just to leave the ground, sometimes the amount of effort you require for your business just to leave, to leave the ground, for ministry just to leave the ground, for you as a student just to overcome certain limitations. Initially, it will require a disproportionate amount of effort, and sometimes you will not see the returns on your investments immediately. Are we together? So I'm here to tell you, welcome to the club of the ones who don't get ROI immediately. All right? So please don't get discouraged. I've been doing it, I've been building it, this thing is not working. Well, your initial stages disproportionate. A lot of work, a lot of waking up early, put out the presentation, do the roadshow. But I've gone to the 50th investor. Well, probably the breakthrough is with the 100th investor. Are we together? Ask your neighbor, do you have the capacity for work? All right? I pray we are not the generation that just wants to survive on vibes on vibes. All right? Vibes on vibes. Is there another way we can get this? Is there another way? Is there a simpler way? All right? So what will it take for you as a student, as a pastor, as a leader? Initially, disproportionate amount of effort is required. All right? This is why if you talk to any great man, any great woman who's built a business, a ministry, a church, they'll tell you at the initial stages, it looks like the thing is not working. It looks like we are putting in more than we're getting out. It looks like I'm investing a lot of my resources in my dream, a lot of my time in the dream initially, and I'm really waiting for this breakthrough time, and it's not coming. Welcome to lift off stage. Disproportionate amount of effort required initially. So don't give up. As the thing is rising, you need to aim to get to what I call escape velocity. All right? So what is escape velocity? Escape velocity is there's a place this thing gets to and the fuel, what do you call it? The supporting fuel things break away. They have finished their work. The rocket has attained escape velocity. At this point, gravity has nothing on the thing. There's a point you'll get to in your life, ministry, business, where forces are not holding you down anymore. You've already exceeded and gone above what is holding everyone down. Are we together? But remember, before you get there, disproportionate amount of effort. But it is worth it because at time, have you ever met people who achieve results as they sleep? Have you ever met them? Have you ever met people who, when they put their hand on one business, it doesn't take time. Immediately becomes a hit. Okay? Have you ever met people who are trying something, it's because they've attained what you call escape velocity. There's a place you get to, just a little input into the business gives you compounded results. Once you've hit escape velocity, are we together? And then once you hit escape velocity, what do? You set new standards now. You set new standards. Now you hit, you move beyond the stratosphere and you enter spaces and places where people have never been to before. All right? And you demonstrate that it is possible to get to these new territories and to get to these new heights. Are we together? So how do I move from here to there? Initially, I'll require a lot of energy. Okay? Don't give up. It's a new product. You're about to launch something. Once you hit escape velocity, then what are you doing? You're setting new standards. All right? Allow me to finish with this final thought. So what else do I need to do right now? What else do I need to do? There's something I call good stored energy. Okay? Good stored energy. If you remember your physics or science, I have a question. At what temperature does an ice block exist? Watu wa arts tunawaona, watu wa home science and agriculture, we are coming to you. All right. At what temperature does an ice block exist? All right. It's usually about negative 25 degrees. All right. Negative 25 degrees. All right. So the ice block exists at negative 25 degrees. Now, if I gave you a task and told you, I want you to apply heat to the ice block until it changes form. You start applying heat. Okay? Now, as you apply heat, the temperature is rising, but the ice block is not changing. Are we together? The temperature is rising. So what is the ice block doing? It's storing good energy. This is to the ones who are almost tired of doing good. Don't be tired of doing good. All right? Store the good energy. Store the good practices. Store the passion. Your ice block is probably not melting right now, but you're storing good energy. And ladies and gentlemen, the ice block moves from negative 25 to 20 to negative 15, no change. To negative 9, no change. To negative 5, no change. All right? Negative 3, no change. All right? Yet, heat is being applied. Are we together? You're applying heat to your business. You're applying heat to your leadership. You're applying heat to your ministry. You're applying, and you're wondering, why is it still an ice block? You're storing good energy. You're storing good energy. All right? The Bible says that do not be weary of doing good. For in due season, you shall reap what you sowed. This is a call and an encouragement to our generation, to our young people. All right? I pray that we can store good energy in our nation. All right? I pray we can store good energy in our continent. Are we together? I pray we can store the right kind of energy in our relationships. Okay? I pray we can store these things. Are we together? So as the temperature is rising, negative 9, 3, 2, guess what happens at 0 degrees? The block becomes water. And people will think you're an overnight success. Because some will come to you when you are just at negative 1 to 0. And they will look at you and wonder, are you a magician? But you will remember you came from negative 25. And put in good energy. So don't give up. What if my presentation is not being accepted in my organization right now? Store good energy. If it's not good for here, it probably is good for there. So wait for there. Don't discard the good presentation thinking that because it's not working here, it will never work anywhere. Store good energy. Are we together? Store good energy. Young man, young woman who's here, store good energy. Invest in people. Invest in the right things. Invest in your health. Invest in your mental, in your mind, in your intellectual capacity. Invest in it. You might not be called to do a TEDx talk right now. But the day we see you doing a TEDx talk, we will know you just didn't land on the platform. You are storing good energy. And this is how we become builders in our generation. All right? This is how we build. You show up, you come, you pray, you fast, you put your suit on, you do the pitch deck, you go back again, you return to the people, you try solve the problems, you come back again. Are we together? At the right time, in due season, all right? We will call you an overnight success, but you and God will know, and the ones around you, this was not an overnight success. This one was built in obscurity, in darkness. This was built when no one was there. And now you'll have presented a solution to a generation, and then they will pick templates and start building based on what you are building. Are we together? This is a season we're in. We're in the season of builders. Every leader who's here, our responsibility is to build prosperity. And I love what Reverend Julian is doing, because we are not just doing church. All right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But we don't sleep at night because we're thinking about how will people live? What will people eat? How do we restore dignity? How are our children studying? All right? If those things are not concerning us right now, then there's something we need to change about our approach. Because we've showed up into the scene where our forefathers did what they did. And here we are. I pray that we don't hand over good vibes and inshallah, all right? That we can do something. That the next generation will say, we salute you guys for what you did. You stored good energy. Thank you and God bless you.